Hi guys, Splash and Crash with another video, and today we're going to be doing part 2 of the top of 40 big what ifs in NBA history that would have changed the league forever. The first what if we had, and like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell in your comment down below what you think, what ifs you think are going to be in this video. So now we'll get on with the first one. We have what if the 2012 Oklahoma City Thunder stayed together? I'll explain Paul George in a second. Basically, you guys all know this. In the 2012 offseason, right after making the finals, the Thunder refused to give James Harden the max contract, even though they just gave their other stars, Russ, Durant, and Ibaka, max contracts. Quotes on star for Ibaka, but Ibaka was a dominant defensive player back then, and he was averaging about 15 points. So I guess you could have thought that he was going to be a future All-Star, but not like an All-NBA level player. Anyways, they gave up on Harden. He was like, they thought he wasn't worth the max in paying luxury tax, but they only got to see Harden when he was a sixth man. He was averaging near 20 points off the bench. If they started him, he would have definitely been a star, but they didn't start him. And Harden was already mad that he was coming off the bench. So when they didn't give him a max contract, he demanded a trade, and they traded him to the Rockets for Kevin Martin, who left after a single season, a bunch of trash, and a first-round pick that turned into Steven Adams. If these three stayed together, they would have had 3 future MVPs. That has never happened before. That would have been absolutely crazy. But anyways, now I'm going to explain Paul George. Basically, in the 2016 offseason, after the Thunder lost to the Warriors, I don't know if Durant left yet, but I know he left that offseason. Basically, they traded Ibaka for the rising young star and Victor Oladipo, like a decent young player in Sabonis and Ersan Ilyasova. Oladipo and Sabonis at this point in their careers have both been all-stars, and this was an absolute steal of a trade for the Thunder. In the next offseason, the Thunder flipped Oladipo and Sabonis for Paul George. At this time, this seemed like an absolute steal for the Thunder, which Paul George was really good for them, and he became an MVP candidate. But the Pacers actually got 2 really good All-Stars. So if we assume the Ibaka trade still happens and the Paul George trade still happens, that gives the Thunder an incredible big 4. And if we were to assume that those 2 trades didn't happen, then the Thunder could have ran out a lineup something like Russ at the point, Harden at the 2, or no, Oladipo at the 2, Harden at the 3, which in today's small ball, Harden could be, like, I guess, a point forward. But the real-life Rockets are running Eric Gordon at the 3, who's 2 inches shorter than Harden. So I think Harden could run the 3 in the small ball era. Durant at the 4 and Sabonis at the 5. So that's either. So if we assume the Ibaka trade still happens, they have three MVP level players in their starting lineup and two all-star, like regular all-star level players in Oladipo and Sabonis. And if we assume the Paul George trade still happens, 3 MVPs and another superstar. Either way, this team would have easily won at least 3 rings in my eyes. For the next what if, we have what if David Stern didn't veto the Chris Paul to the Lakers trade? I'm sure you guys know this, but in 2011 or 2012, I forget which one it was, Chris Paul got traded to the Lakers, and the Lakers gave up Pau Gasol and Andrew Bynum. And I don't remember the exact trade, but I know it included that. But then, since David Stern owned Chris Paul's team, the New Orleans Hornets, and the other owners were they got really upset, and they started complaining to David Stern because the Lakers now had the best shooting guard in the NBA in Kobe Bryant, the best point guard in the NBA in Chris Paul, and the best center in the NBA in Dwight Howard. That that would have absolutely destroyed the league. That's what all the other owners said to David Stern. After all this complaining, a few hours right after this trade happened, David Stern vetoed the trade and said that the New Orleans Hornets GM had no authority to do this. So this trade gets canceled. The Lakers, uh, they this hurt the Lakers a lot because not only do they not get their All-Star point guard, but um, Andrew Bynum, who is upset that he was included in that trade, demands he has to get traded, so they have to trade him for 2 seconds. Andrew Bynum, a top three center in the NBA. So then we know what happens. The Lakers trade for Steve Nash. That fails miserably because of so many injuries to all of their stars. There's just a toxic locker room. Kobe's career ends because there's so much pressure on him at the end of that season. This veto trade basically ended Kobe's career. For the next what if we have what if Dirk stayed with the what if the Bucks didn't trade Dirk on draft night? So back in 1998, with the ninth pick, the Bucks selected Dirk, but they traded him away to the Mavericks for Robert Tractor Trailer. That was a really stupid move. If they kept him, they already had Ray Allen and two really good players who were borderline all-stars / all-stars in Vin Baker and Glenn Robinson. That would have given them a superstar duo with Ray Allen and Dirk Nowitzki, and Glenn Robinson and Vin Baker would have been like supporting stars. This would have given them a theoretical big four. Well, it's kind of like the current Warriors lineup, but a bit worse. Well, last year's Warriors lineup where there were two superstars and then two like regular all stars / borderline all stars in Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. This team wins a few championships. The Bucks legacy is way bigger, and it's not just Kareem, but I think the Bucks right now are doing pretty good with the Greek Freak. Anyways, for the next what if we actually have two what ifs here. We have what if Scottie Pippen went to the Supersonics. There was two instances where this almost happened, so I'm putting them together. The first time is when Scottie was actually drafted by the Supersonics, but they traded him to the Bulls, and he helped Michael Jordan win 6 rings, and yeah, we all know how that went. They created the greatest team of all time in 1996, all of that. But if he stays with the Supersonics, he now teams up with 3 like all-star not all NBA, but all-star level players in Tom Chambers, Dale Ellis, and Xavier McDaniel. All 3 of these guys left in the next few years, but if they stayed, Scottie now forms a super team because he is the MVP level superstar surrounded by a supporting cast of 3 all-stars, which would have easily amounted to at least 1 ring and would have easily ruined the Bulls dynasty. The next instance is when Jerry Krause almost traded Scottie Pippen to the Supersonics for Shawn Kemp. Jerry Krause always hated his players because he didn't like being in their shadow. So, especially Scottie Pippen, he always wanted to trade him. There's so many instances where this almost happened. But one of the biggest ones is to the Supersonics. Jordan, I believe the Supersonics GM, this is when Jordan was retired, so the Supersonics GM asked Jordan whether he should trade Shawn Kemp for Scottie Pippen, and Jordan said definitely, because he was obviously he obviously thought very highly of Scottie. If this happens, the The Supersonics now have two superstars in Gary Payton and Scottie Pippen. And I think I don't know if Jordan comes back to the when Jordan comes out of retirement. I don't think he goes back to the Bulls because now he has Sean Kemp on that team instead of Scottie Pippen. Sean Kemp is nowhere near as good as Scottie Pippen. And then that makes me wonder: do you think Jordan would have went back to went to the Supersonics and then three-peated with them? Because Jordan was never like truly loyal to the Bulls. It was always about like he was there for Scotty and Phil Jackson and Dennis Rodman. He was not there because he liked the Bulls organization. He was just there because he was drafted there, and he liked the team. If Scotty, his sidekick, is now on the Supersonics, does Jordan go there and form a superstar big three, which I think would at least amount to 3 rings? And if not, the Supersonics still probably beat the Bulls because now the Bulls don't have Scotty. Anyways, the next one we have is what if Ray Allen stayed with the Timberwolves? I don't know if you guys know this, but Ray Allen was actually drafted to the Timberwolves, but they traded him on draft night to the Bucks in 1996. If Ray Allen stays with the Timberwolves, he now forms a superstar duo with Kevin Garnett, and now instead of waiting till the end of their careers to play on the Celtics, they play in their primes when Ray Allen was a superstar, like a All-NBA superstar, and Kevin Garnett was an MVP level player. They also have another small, well, he's not like a huge All-NBA superstar, but he still made a few All-Star teams in Tom Gugliotta. This forms a really good duo with a nice third option in Tom, and probably wins at least a few rings. And KG's prime maybe doesn't get wasted. And this might actually elevate KG into a top 10 player of all time, because now he gets a bunch more rings on the Timberwolves. For our next what if we have is what if Klay Thompson and Steph Curry got traded to the Pelicans? I mean, at the time, the New Orleans Hornets for Chris Paul in 2011. So in the 2011 offseason, after Chris Paul's trade to LA got vetoed, there were a bunch of trade offers for Chris Paul. One of the top offers was Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Ekpe Udoh. Apparently, the reason why this trade didn't go through is because Chris Paul said that if either the Celtics or Warriors traded for him, he was not going to re-sign with them. So the Warriors then backed out. But if this trade did go through, the Hornets now have the Splash Brothers plus Ekpe Udoh would be a decent role player off the bench. The Warriors dynasty likely doesn't happen, and the Hornets probably win a championship or two with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. If we look into the draft, due to the new, like the change in standings, the Pelicans would actually have the 6th pick in the 2012 draft now. And who was the 6th pick in the 2012 draft? That's right, Damian Lillard. So the Hornets might get Damian Lillard out of this. I mean, they don't get Anthony Davis, but if they get who actually goes to the Kings in this scenario, if they get Damian. So I don't know if they would draft Damian Lillard, but let's just say they do. Now, Steph Curry at the beginning of his career was seen more of a shooting guard to complement Monte Ellis. Steph Curry was seen as an off-ball shooting guard, and Klay Thompson, we all know, can play small forward. So the Warriors could have ran a small ball lineup of Damian Lillard at the point guard, Steph Curry at the shooting guard, and Klay Thompson at the small forward. And also due to the change in standings, they now have the 36th pick in the second round, which they could use to take Draymond Green, who was picked 35th in real life. This changes everything. Because, and Draymond Green probably wouldn't be taking that 35th fifth because the Blazers would have that pick, and they already had LaMarcus Aldridge. So the Warriors now, it's the real life Warriors lineup on the Hornets, except the Hornets have Damian Lillard instead of Harrison Barnes. This would easily be a dynasty and a great team going into the future. Probably they might have won even more championships than the Warriors in real life. The next one we have is, what if Kobe got traded to the Pistons in I think 07 or 08? So this one is, we all know Kobe almost got traded to the Bulls around that time, but when Kobe demanded a trade, one of the top teams on his list were the Pistons, and this was an offer including Richard Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, a few picks, and this would have created an incredible big three between Rasheed Wallace, Chauncey Billups, and Kobe Bryant. They probably could have won a championship in the East, or at least would head to toe to toe with the super team Boston Celtics. This also means that the Suns probably make it to the finals, or the Spurs, for the 3 years where Kobe took his Lakers team with Pau Gasol to the finals. Next one we have is another Kobe Pistons one. Back in like 1999 or 1998, the Jerry Buss or Jerry West, I forget which one it was, but one of them, they almost traded Kobe to the Pistons for Grant Hill. There he would have formed a dynamic duo with Jerry Stackhouse, which would have given the league nightmares. Because they're incredible scoring together. They were both really good, super athletic scorers at that time. High volume. I don't know if they would have been able to coexist, but if they did, this team might have been able to win some championships due to the Lakers now having only Shaq and an injury-prone Grant Hill, and the East now being dominated by the superstar 10. The next what if we have is, what if the 2019 season came true? So in the trade line in the 2018 to 2019 season, the Knicks traded Kristaps Porzingis for basically cap space and picks. This ended horribly. Basically, the Knicks, their plan was to clear up enough cap space to sign Kyrie and Kevin Durant, and since they were the worst team in the NBA, to try to draft Zion. This plan was incredibly flawed because KD and Kyrie, I guess there was some incentive to go to the Knicks, but everyone knows that the Knicks have a horrible front office and probably not be able to surround these players with anything decent. And also, to get Zion, they only had even with being the worst team in the NBA, the new lottery odds meant that they only had a 14% chance of landing the first overall pick. Then this was incredibly flawed logic and turned out horribly for the Knicks. But if it did turn out the way they wanted it, they would have had, for the first season, 2019 to 2020, nothing special would happen because all three of these guys would have been all three of these guys suffered major injuries throughout this season and have not been healthy. But through what we have seen, Kyrie did this, and he was looking insane. He had that 50-point game, and last we saw KD, back in the playoffs in 2019, he was going off. He was averaging like 40 points a game or something for like a 5-game stretch in those playoffs right before he got injured. And when he came back for the Warriors, he looked like when he was playing for those 10 minutes, he looked insane. He looked like he was going to change the series and help the Warriors beat the Raptors. And in the 19 games we've seen from Zion, he has been playing like an absolute superstar. This would have made an incredible big three. And while Zion entered his prime, KD and Kyrie wouldn't have regressed that much because neither of them really rely on athleticism and they're more skill-based. This team would have been crazy if they could stay healthy. Next, what if we have is, what if LeBron finessed his way onto the Rockets in the 2018 offseason? I say finessed because Rockets didn't really have that much cap, but KD found his way onto the Warriors, so people thought maybe LeBron could get his way onto the Rockets and form a crazy super team that might have been better than the DeMarcus Cousins Warriors, even if they were healthy. This team had the top two MVP candidates. This team would have had the top two MVP candidates. Chris Paul would probably have a lot less pressure on him with LeBron on his team. This team probably makes the 1 seed again, maybe breaks the wins record. Now, Clint Capella might make the All-Star team with 3 players. Now he's a lob threat to 3 ball handlers on this team. Eric Gordon might be a bit more healthy with less pressure on him. This team would have been insane. Imagine adding LeBron to a 65-win team. This team easily gives the Warriors a run for their money, easily win. And if the Warriors still get injured like they did last season, this team easily wins the championship last season, maybe even this season. The next what if we have is, what if Kobe and Shaq got traded to the Mavericks in the 2004 offseason? Yeah, this looks crazy. But basically, I don't think this one was real, but I'm just going to go over it for fun. But basically, last year, sometime in the past year, Mark Cuban went on the show called Fair Game, and he apparently said on that show that in the 2004 offseason, he was close to getting a trade done for Kobe and Shaq that included Jason Terry, a role player, and picks. So this trade had nothing to do with Steve Nash, nothing to do with Dirk, and nothing to do with even Michael Finley, who's that last guy over there. But Michael Finley was an all-star. That's why I have him in the picture. But basically, I think it was like it was Jason Terry, another role player, and picks. If this somehow was real, at least 30 first-round picks, in my opinion. Apparently, the reason why the trade didn't go through is because Kobe didn't, because Phil Jackson Phil Jackson or Jerry Buss or Jerry West, one of those people, talked Kobe out of it. If this goes through, so let's just assume it happens, okay? Mavericks probably don't have their next 30 first-round picks. They still win a lot. They easily win. I'm going to give them 8 rings, and we'll see why. You'll see why. Nash actually left them in the offseason, but they had bird rights, so I think they wouldn't have, like, let's just assume they give Steve Nash a max contract because they have his bird rights on top of this crazy team. If they still keep Michael Finley off the bench, they have an old Jerry Stackhouse, but he's still like a good 15-point per game scorer. They have Keith Van Horn, who's a decent role player off the bench. This team has it all. In the 2000s, out of the 10 MVPs from the year 2000 to 2009, a total of 5 of them went to one of these 4 players on the screen, not including Michael Finley. Kobe won an MVP, Nash won 2 MVPs, Dirk won 1 MVP, and Shaq won 1 MVP. And from 2005 to 2008, all 4 of those MVPs went to one of the players on this screen. Yeah, that's crazy. Shaq has 1 more prime year, but I think he's much better than he is in real life because there's a lot less pressure on him now. This team has it all. They have a nice 3-and-D player in Michael Finley, a crazy scorer in Kobe, crazy scorer, 2-way scorer in Kobe, an incredible stretch big in Dirk, one of the best facilitators of all time in Nash, and a dominant inside force in Shaq. Plus all that bench scoring, and yeah, this team is crazy. even when Shaq regresses and Nash regresses, this team probably still contends for titles, I think, until like 2014 or 2015. Because Kobe and Dirk, they're still all-stars at that time. And Nash still doesn't. I think Nash's injuries are less severe because there's way less pressure on him now. Yeah, this team is just crazy. This is the greatest team of all time, greatest of all time. If it was real, I don't think it was real. Next one we have is, what if Kobe stayed with the Charlotte Hornets? So this one's pretty straightforward. They had Glenn Rice on that team. He was an all-star. He was really good. If they keep Kobe, he starts. He might be a rookie all-star because the first season he got major minutes. In his second season, he was the sixth man, and he made the all-star. He was an all-star starter. So he might be a rookie all-star coming out of high school if they let him start, because yeah, he was. So this is a great dynamic duo, and if they can build around Kobe, which I think they could, this would be absolute. I mean, this is nowhere near as good as the other teams, but this just changed NBA history forever. Hi guys, this is Splash and Crash here. So that's the end of part 2. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, so you don't miss part 3 or any other upload on my channel. In the comments, comment down below what you think, what ifs you think are going to be in the next video. And anyways, bye guys.